Welcome back to the Coruscant Knights podcast. We're very happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. My name is Cooper. Alongside me, as always, is Marc.
Hello there.
And Jack.
Hello, everyone.
And we've got a great episode today for you guys for our last podcast of the year for 2023. That doesn't mean we're ending. We've got 2024, heaps of stuff planned for 2024. But we thought we'd do a review and a look back on the year of 2023. Exactly, yeah. So back in March, we put out a podcast called A Look Ahead at 2023. We're kind of going to be going back to that, some of the predictions we made during that, kind of review that and see how that stacks up in comparison to what we feel now. And then there's a couple of, funny little things in there that we're going to mention. And also we'll look at a couple of things moving forward as well. So I think it would be appropriate to start with the question that we started with back in March, which was, what is the most anticipated project of 2023?
Oh, Lord.
Now, Marc, you said The Mandalorian Season 3 was the most anticipated.
Most anticipated. Well, what does that tell you
What would
guys?
you like to make a comment about? What would you like to say about that?
Well, I mean, if that isn't telling us that it's one of the greatest letdowns of the year, I don't know what is.
Okay. Jack, you said that Ahsoka was your most anticipated. What would you like to say about that? Do you feel justified?
Let me I'll go into my overall thoughts of the whole year, but I like to say that it is justified. I think I can say it was actually my favourite project of the whole year, even though it wasn't, if you look back at what the podcast we did about Ahsoka, it wasn't my most favourite, but that just, I guess, shows my overall thoughts of the year for Star Wars as a whole, so yeah.
I went a bit in a different direction. I did Jedi Survivor as my most anticipated, and definitely when I finished the game, I felt that was justified, but after a replay of the game and kind of just realizing a couple of the flaws in it, I definitely would not put it as my most anticipated. But I guess you aren't to know. I always thought Jedi Fallen Order was fantastic. I'm like, surely they can't stuff up the sequel. And this is a thing that I was thinking quite a lot throughout the year. Surely they can't stuff it up.
Surely they can't stuff up a Star Wars project in 2023,
it's
right?
also by the infamous company of EA, so
of course,
it's bound to happen at some point.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
true.
Now our least anticipated projects. This was interesting. So Marc and I did Vision Season 2 as our least anticipated ones. Would you agree with our comments?
I would agree. Well, with the comments I made, I can't remember the comments we made, but by calling it our least anticipated and we didn't even watch it, I think we can say we agreed with that.
So I would say it was probably the worst project of the year. Not that it was bad, but just it didn't appeal to what I liked. Yeah. I did watch a bit of it. The first episode was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just the rest of the season kind of died off for me.
Yeah.
Like the clay figurines. I didn't really like that.
No.
And Jack, you had Young Jedi Adventures as your least anticipated, and I have a feeling that you didn't even watch it.
I saw the clips of it.
The clips?
No, but yeah, no. Well, let's be honest. The reason why I put that in there is just to show why are we having this show even be a thing. Like, you could do so much other stuff. Or even just, if you want to do Young Jedi Adventures, why are you doing it in, like, the most kiddie format ever? Like, I know Star Wars is for kids, but, like, it looks so weird. They're, like, this big in height. Like, what?
They are kids. They are kids.
Yeah, but you could have just done it in like Clone Wars and actually have a meaningful storytelling that is inciting for kids and adults and middle-aged people.
I suppose so.
You could, I don't know. That's why it still deserves to be there, and it's, least anticipated because I didn't even want to watch it. So.
Exactly. Same with me and Visions.
Yeah. And then probably the most controversial one we discussed was the biggest potential to go wrong. What was the project that could stuff up? What was the one that was going to stuff up that we thought? I'll start because I chose something different to you guys. I did Ahsoka, and my main concerns were the fact of not being able to balance the characters. I said that I didn't think it would be able to balance Ahsoka, the Rebels, all 5 of them, which all 5 of them didn't show up actually, and then also the 2, Baylan and Shin, the Inquisitor that we saw in the trailer, Thrawn and Morgan. I'm like, how are you supposed to give all of them meaningful contributions to the story without keeping Ahsoka as the main focus? So that's why I thought it was the biggest potential to go wrong. And I kind of agree with my past self.
See, what you said is that you feel like Ahsoka might be a bit sidelined.
Yeah.
And I think that is what happened. But
I don't think that was...
I don't think the show was necessarily a whole heap of a letdown.
No. I'm not saying it was like that. I'm just saying
think,
it had the biggest potential to go wrong. Which...
So I don't necessarily think it went wrong, but there was definitely room for improvement.
I think it was a middle ground.
Yeah.
I think you could say that you weren't wrong with your biggest potential to go wrong because some of your things that you're worried about did happen.
Yeah.
Like she got sidelined in one of those episodes completely like Boba Fett. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think that was as much of an issue after we got the amazing story from Shin and Balin.
Yes.
So we didn't really expect that.
That's
that
correct.
Kind of
we
stuff.
just
so
thought it was going to be a Rebels focus and a Ahsoka focus.
And then it wasn't Rebels really at all. So
yes.
it just,
Now,
changed.
I'm interested to hear what you guys say about this because you guys had Mando Season 3 as your biggest potential to go wrong.
Yeah.
And you, Jack, said in our podcast back in March that you didn't like the look of the trailer and the direction it was going and saying that it looked like it was going in the wrong direction.
In the Disney direction.
In the Disney direction. And I would like to say, so you said that in this discussion that the reclaiming the Mandalorian identity thing it looked like it was going to take the whole season. Mm-hmm. You said it will probably be done in 2 episodes. Mm-hmm. You were spot on.
Yeah.
You were spot on.
I'm not a wizard. Okay. The reason why I said this is because they kind of did a similar thing like they did with season 2, right? However, like, I know Luke showed up at the end, but I thought the premise kind of didn't... It kind of was explored in the first 2 episodes of season 2, but then started branching out to like, oh, here's... a different Jedi, Ahsoka. Here's a different Mandalorian character you haven't seen in forever. They just introduced so many cameos, Boba Fett. It kind of lost its kind of... The narrative was throughout, but it was more focused in the first 2. So I was like, oh. And all the trailer kind of showed about that. And I'm like, oh, for this one, all the trailer showed about his reclaiming. So I was like, oh, they're probably just going to explore in the first 2 and then just sideline into Bo-Katan or something. And then, yeah.
I think coming off of Boba Fett and seeing that one episode where... like the armor was like, you've taken off your helmet, you got to go reclaim your identity. I think it put a bigger emphasis on the fact that this was going to be a big storyline, and that's why seeing it in the trailers so prominently was kind of like, oh, okay,
we've seen it
is this
already.
it? Like, is this really going to be what the season's about?
I guess they were just really trying to connect the end of season 2 as opposed to show anything of season 3.
Well, here's my hot take too, right? So comparing it to Andor from before. Andor trailer looked... They didn't give away really anything, but it looked intriguing and exciting. This, however, showed quite a lot, I thought, that didn't look very good. And I was like, well, what more they're going to do, you know what I mean? And I was like, well, if they already basically told the story in the trailer from what the whole season was meant to be about, then where are they going with this? I'm scared.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was like, oh... And the reason why I said it was probably bound to fail in a way is because... when Disney have such a good thing, for example, this is why I'm worried about season 2 of Andor.
Yeah.
They just do the opposite of it. Like, why couldn't you just continue with a more solely focused story of even Din? They brought Grogu back instantly, and it just kind of...
mistake.
It just shows that they're like, oh, we can make a lot of merchandise of this. We're going to get a lot of viewers who only want to watch Grogu. Like, no, keep your focused story that it was initially.
Yeah.
Why are you implementing all this stuff? And I got worried.
To make it worse as well, just on the Grogu bit, they came out not even announcing it publicly, saying that it'd been 2 years that Grogu was with Luke. It was like,
oh yeah,
they just
they just assumed
we knew
like,
that.
we knew that 2 years had passed
when it felt like 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like it didn't have enough, especially after how sad the end of season 2 was, like how he's leaving, and then no worries guys, in another show he gets him back, and now in this show it's like he never left. Like if you're watching just Mando on its own, you just see Grogu gone at season 2 and then season 3.
Yeah,
he's here. Don't worry about it.
That's
and he
true,
does absolutely nothing.
Watch...
He does absolutely nothing for this season.
That's true. If you didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, I didn't
You would have
really think about that.
You would have no idea.
If you just if you think about it logically, people watch shows by season order.
Yeah.
So if someone watches it without realizing about the Book of
They're
Boba
like,
Fett,
so did I miss something?
Well, a lot of Star Wars fans became Star Wars fans because of the Mandalorian. They don't care about Boba Fett, so it's like it's just to completely put the narrative in a different show that people aren't going to watch. It's just was an odd storytelling.
So then that just was big red flag warning signs, and which is why I put it in there. I was like, look, I love Mando. The character of Mando can't really be ruined, but everything else around it can.
Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by the Galactic Hotline. Call 1300 000 123
Call 1800 Empire.
for your counselling needs. Are you a stormtrooper who's had too much time on the battlefront?
Are you suffering from flashbacks or spontaneous spasms?
You should call the Galactic Hotline for all your counselling needs.
Post-traumatic stress? We know how much this can hurt stormtroopers. Please, call the hotline now.
That's 1300 000 123 or
1800 Empire.
Does this equate for us Star Wars fans? Because I need this hotline.
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll discuss more of the review. So what we thought of 2023 in general. So we're going to start with what we thought the worst show was of 2023. And I would like to pass the reins to Mark.
Yeah, I think we're all going to have pretty similar here, aren't we? And it's going to be season 3 of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
I don't know if I even have much else to add to what Jack just said about, how season 1 and season 2 was so good and Disney had such a, opportunity to stuff it up, and which is why, some of us had it as our biggest potential to go wrong. And I think, unfortunately, that did pan out, and we will discuss a certain episode soon.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to add anything, go ahead.
What hasn't been said about this show already?
Everyone's ripped into it
I think
so much.
when we did our review of the live action series, I think we probably had the best opportunity then to really tear it to shreds. So if you haven't seen that podcast episode, go listen to it, because we
destroyed it.
And we go on Mark about it because he put it in a good. He put it in good.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that.
You regretted it after.
I did. It was a mistake.
Anyway, so it's not a good show. It's not a good season I should say. Yeah. And I think that's really all that needs to be said. It was by far it was worse than Visions.
It's so forgettable.
It was worse than Visions. It is so forgettable.
Yeah,
I forgot it even came out this year. To be honest, every time.
And actually, I was going to say just from before, the most exciting bit about the trailer, in the first trailer that we got for The Mandalorian, was the bit where Carson Taylor said, "There's something happening out in the galaxy." Or something along those lines.
Brewing, and you know you won't see it coming or whatever.
Also,
that was cool, and then that was kind of just like a one
aside.
episode thing that was like, oh, it's not that important.
I can't actually remember. Was it season 3 of Mando when they had like the New Republic episodes?
Yes.
That was episode 3 that went for the longest run time.
That's another reason why, isn't it?
God, that episode was so weird. I'm just thinking about it.
I liked it, but it wasn't
snuck onto an Imperial Star Destroyer.
That was dismantling
to get a lab, to get something from a lab.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the drafts for the Rise of Skywalker. One of the drafts where Rose and Finn were gonna sneak onto the ship.
Yep.
But that was in space, that
was right at the start of the movie as well. That was would have loved
Which
that.
movie?
Rise it was going to be the
Rise.
It would have been called Jewel of the Fates.
Mm-hmm.
Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, his initial script for that. But
I didn't really like that story.
I preferred it than what we had though.
I disagree.
We saw Kylo Ren who was actually evil.
This is for another discussion.
This is tangent now.
This is another discussion.
Leave this.
Okay, best show. I thought it was Ahsoka. That's simply because the other shows we got weren't great. I did like Bad Batch. I very much like Bad Batch. But we only got half of the season this year, and also it's animated. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the storytelling was a lot better in Bad Batch, I thought. But just in terms of the action and everything, way better in Ahsoka, and just flashbacks, callbacks, etc. And I'm curious to see if you guys agree.
Yeah, I'd pretty much say I agree. It's definitely between that and Bad Batch Season 2. I think they're both pretty equal. They both went quite well in my opinion. So,
well, Bad Batch is not even up there. That's probably my second least favourite show of the... I would even say Visions, because I liked Visions. Episode 1 was I rather
you liked that more than the entire season.
Wow.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
The Bad Batch to me is so irrelevant. I don't even know why it was made. To be honest, I don't care for it. I don't care about the characters. I connected more with Rex and Cody than I ever would with Wrecker and Tech and Hunter. Hunter is just Mandalorian. This is my issue with Disney. They always have this one leader dude who takes on Obi-Wan show, takes on some younger person, and then that younger person gets into trouble, or, is someone that we hate at the start and then becomes someone that we meant to like.
The Disney formula.
The parent-child.
And this is what I'm saying. And this is why, the only reason why it's not worse than Mando, in my opinion, is because I didn't mind the kind of scientist that that planet again? I keep forgetting now.
Navarro?
No. Bad Batch.
Tantus.
Tantus. I actually didn't mind that. Didn't mind it. But just because it's the Bad Batch and I have no connection with them whatsoever, I couldn't get into it at all. I literally was always behind when it came out, like every week, and I would watch it eating food, and I would almost fall asleep, and it's just...
He falls asleep eating food, apparently.
Yep, I literally...
Is that how unstimulating food is?
I couldn't remember what... No, I love food. But one of the episodes, I couldn't remember which one it was. Oh, yes, it was the one where in the mines with...
Oh, yeah, the bit that I had my favourite bit, my favourite moment from the Bad Batch. That was a good moment.
I fell asleep during that. It was so boring. I literally could not keep my eyes open.
That one with the highly explosive.
Yep. Yeah. I was like, what am I watching right now?
The ship somehow got stolen.
Yep. I was like, this is just repeated formula. Boring nonsense. Don't care about them at all.
I thought that was one of the better arcs in the show.
This is why we have this podcast, because I cannot understand how he sees that. But... Tangent aside, what were we talking about?
Oh, we got
our favourite shows.
A Dr. Krennic. That was something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. But Mark will go into it. But yeah, I'll just be brief. Ahsoka, I think, wouldn't be my favourite if we had like Andor season 2 or something, because it was just it was good. But as you're seeing where I'm getting from here,
it was the best of what we had.
This year for Star Wars for me just did not do it at all. When I think last year was better, even though we had Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, which were probably two of the worst Star Wars live-action projects we had. However, I think I still had a better time watching it than some of the weird projects we had this year with like Visions, Young Jedi Adventures, even The Bad Batch for me.
Did you guys watch Dust Buddies? That little short with Grogu?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
It goes for like 90 seconds. And it wasn't very good.
Like, I don't know, like this year was very weird.
I have a comment about what 2023 Star Wars was, and it's the year of filler. Because I feel like I've said throughout every of our episodic reviews of the shows, we've had more filler. When are we getting to the story? And I feel like you can pretty much say it for all 3 shows that we're talking about. Mando Season 3, we've already spoken about, the New Republic episode. There's another episode we'll get to, Guns for Hire. Then in Bad Batch, I can't really tell you honestly what the whole story was.
The island one where they went to go retire.
I feel like it was just
a good episode.
Yeah, the episodes were great. I think they were good, but I was saying while watching them, this is just more filler.
Yeah,
can we get some story?
That's my issue with that mainly.
For Bad Batch specifically, one of the better parts story-wise was when Crosshair started to kind of question what he's done. But then Ahsoka, I still think there was quite a bit of filler in that as well. Like, I think I always forget which number episode it was. I think it was
3.
3?
With the ship.
The ship, yeah. The ship, the dog fighting in space. That episode, I can't get it out of my head.
I can't believe we waited a week for that.
Yeah,
that was unreal.
Like, nothing happened. There was just a dog fight in space.
And that was it.
I think that was pretty much it, yeah. Like,
And Balin at the end going, yes, send the people into the forest.
All I can think of is, like, when I think of filler, I think of that episode.
Yeah, 100%. I think I agree with you completely, because this year as a whole for Star Wars felt like filler. It felt like they needed to put out something.
It's almost like
waiting for Andor season 2.
The year itself was filler for next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year it gets better.
Well, I don't think that's likely, but yeah.
We will do a preview for next year. Next year, obviously.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what episode was your biggest letdown, but I'm going to change it to... Oh, yeah.
Should we say biggest or should we say worst episode? Because we all have a...
I was going to say biggest moment. Like the moment that was the biggest letdown. Like not...
Should we all
you can say episode if you want.
Alright.
Yeah, okay, alright. 3, 2, 1.
Guns
the Jedi, the Witch and the Warlord. I did not like the finale of Ahsoka. Yeah, I think about it. At least with Guns for Hire, it was kind of interesting.
No, I can see... I know that you don't like that episode that you're talking about, but I can't believe you're saying that that's worse than Guns for Hire.
Yeah. I think this is... Yeah, I'm on my side. Okay. Because the reason is, there's probably going to be a follow-up to the ending of Ahsoka, right?
Yeah.
Guns for Hire was just an episode. It was
No, I agree, and I agree with you. I can list all the moments that were terrible. First of all, the Darksaber thing right at the end. One and on a technicality. And there was Jack Black and Lizzo being just in there for no reason.
Mando kicking a B2 battle droid.
Yes, and then running throughout the streets.
The whole droid thing itself, and then the droid bar. What is this?
Yeah,
and then the guy at the end going, "I'm still with the CIS."
And then Count Dooku name drop from nowhere.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that even happened.
A Count Dooku loyalist. 30 years later.
Actually, I did kind of like that idea though,
but not this long.
Yeah.
That would be,
other than that thing, like there's the
it's all bad. All that episode is bad. Though I'm just gonna quickly say the only reason I'm putting the finale of Ahsoka is because I was so disappointed. They built it up really well in episode 6 and 7, and then just to have it be the most corny, cheesy last little bit, they threw everything in there in the last second, and it didn't work. Oh yeah, let's have the Night Sisters finally do the zombie stuff with the Stormtroopers. Oh, let's give Morgan some Night Sister powers after she's been there the whole season. Oh, let's have it so that Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine can dodge like this barrage of laser fire from a Star Destroyer that's right above them.
I said that during our episode, and I feel like you said, "Nah, it's alright" or something. I said that doesn't make any sense. I feel like you were apologising for that. Like,
I think that was me. I said, look, you can't have them die in the first 10 seconds.
But
of the
just
thing.
don't have
just don't have that scene
barrage.
in general. Yeah, don't have that scene in general. But
and the thing to top it all off, Thrawn was absolutely horrific in this episode.
He was really bad.
He didn't know what he was doing
and
at all.
acted at the end was like,
I won. Yeah.
What? You did nothing. You just lost.
That's why, because it was just such a letdown. At least with episode 6, it was filler, and no one cared about it because it wasn't a part of the story. This was the finale to the story.
That's true.
And it just didn't work.
Okay.
At least the Balin bits were okay.
Yeah.
The very last bit.
Yeah.
The very last scene where he's looking on the father's hand.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move. This one's more of a personal one. What was your guys' favourite episode to record on the podcast? Now this is a bit tricky.
This is
This is our 46th episode.
Yeah.
And there's we've done a lot, and also on YouTube we've done a lot of our own things. I think one that comes to mind, especially for Jack and I, is we really loved recording the Great Debate.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a really fun, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a really fun, quick-paced debate-style video on a bunch of wacky topics.
Yeah.
And I'll get into one of them later. But just... yeah, it was a great time to record that. We had Ben come in, one of our patrons. It was just a really good time.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That, not being a podcast, for me, I'll just branch off for an actual podcast. Probably my favourite was, honestly, I know this is going to be a bit cheap sounding, but going through the reviews of all the movies.
Yeah.
The films, I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. Especially,
the movie rewatch.
Yeah. Maybe not so much the sequel bit, not because we don't like them, but because they're more newer. But going back and...
yeah.
Us three, we never really went in depth talking about our thoughts about each of the main movies. So going through and watching it and watching it together sometimes was just... I don't know, it was just a lot of fun and it was good.
It was.
Yeah.
I also quite liked our What If episode. That was just because it was something quite different to what we normally did, and we were able to share different opinions and ideas, and I think that's what we really do well, is that we come up with different ideas and we can share them.
I think, I pretty much agree with Jack. Like, I can't pick one episode that was my favourite to record, but I really enjoyed the movie rewatch. But also, I really enjoy, like, looking back at our earlier ones.
Yeah, and seeing how much we've grown.
It was almost quite comedic. Like, I often come back, I don't know who will remember this reference, but Jack's corn on the cob reference.
And just to show, I want to see Cobb Vanth again. I don't know why.
No,
he was such a good character.
No.
What do you mean?
He should have died against Cad. Why is he...
He should have. I admit he should have.
No.
But it'd be cool to see him back because he's an interesting character. And he's, in this world that is different, unique, and
Stick
has
to your
a different...
own show, Cobb. Corn on the cob.
That was so long ago.
I also really enjoyed, actually, speaking of a specific episode, the Clone Wars episode. Would pick
That
our
was a
favourite-
good episode.
Favourite
Oh,
arc.
we got some balloons.
Well,
Celebration.
there you go. That's my favourite episode. There you go, that's why I've got some balloons. But yeah, the Clone Wars episode where we spoke about our favourite arcs.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
good.
that was a really fun one to do as well.
Honestly, when you mentioned our favourite podcast, I was only thinking recently ones, but those earlier ones had a quite
They had a certain
aspect that
Yeah.
it was our early days and we never really discussed much about Star Wars, so we were all kind of new to our opinions and thoughts about it, which made it interesting.
Yeah, I had there was an episode. I think we did a review on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, that was our second
And
episode.
That was a great episode.
I knew it was
to
very early, and there was a bit of a rant. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of our better episodes, actually.
It did quite well too, I think.
Just quickly on your Clone Wars one.
Yes.
Why did you say that the Trace and Rafa one was your favourite?
What?
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
That's no one's favourite.
Umbara.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to follow on from favourite episodes to record. Favourite moment, you kind of already mentioned the corn on the cob moment. That's Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 7 breakdown. It's right towards the end, if you want to go see it and listen to it again, because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed, in the Great Debate as well, these two had a debate about Force lightning was the best Force ability, and at the end of the clip, if you go watch it, I give a standing ovation because it was incredible. It was one of the best debates I've heard. Both sides were so compelling. They were both really into it.
Yeah.
And in the end, Ben decided on Mark as the winner because Jack was too broad with his argument and Mark was more specific.
Have to sit here and take it. I'll take it.
In Emperor Force Lightning, Luke, or I guess he wasn't trying to kill him, but
Yeah, it wasn't, it
still.
was torturing. But yep.
Anyway, that's what I've decided.
Okay.
Oh, good round.
Alright, good round.
Good job, guys.
Sorry, that was the best debate I've ever heard in my life. But that was my favourite moment.
Still salty about that.
Do you guys want to?
Yes, I can think of two at the moment of favourite moments. One is something that I did that I found actually really fun to do, but quite different for me, which was, again, the Clone Wars episode, but our intro. We did a Clone Wars...
yeah!
We did a Clone Wars, narrator sort of intro to the episode, so if you want to hear that, I think these guys would recommend it as well.
Yes.
Clone Wars! Today on the Coruscant Knights podcast, the members of the group will be talking about their favourite arcs of the Clone Wars.
Go watch out
Absolutely.
the Clone Wars review episode,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
there's another one that I often come back to, which is in our Attack of the Clones review. We did a 10-word... We had to do a 10-word summary of the movie, and Cooper had a bit of a screw-up there. So if you want to know what I'm talking about,
I can't remember
I'd
that.
recommend...
But I remember doing them.
Go to the Attack of the Clones video
Yeah.
and go to the end where we do the 10-word reviews.
Anakin says to Padme that... Let me start again. Anakin says to Padme, I truly, deeply love you. I didn't think this through properly.
Love you, son.
Oh, he's broken down. He's crumbled under pressure.
Yeah.
Mine's quite cheap. Mine was actually it's very recent. It was after the Ahsoka episode 5 with Anakin. Okay, so it may have not been the best podcast, but one, I love Anakin, so I love doing that one. But two, you guys wouldn't notice, but we watched it together, and I think that just made it so much more rewarding and fulfilling. I guess it was just so good watching that episode and being able to experience that and then go straight into a podcast was just really fun to do. So that's my favourite moment. Yeah,
We're going to include a clip of a moment in that reaction that was really good. So yeah.
Roll the clip.
Oh, that's such a shot. Oh my god. Oh, that's epic. Oh my god. What? Chill.
Last thing I want to ask you guys, and this is something I've kept from both of you.
Yep.
What is one thing that you've learnt throughout this podcast experience this year? And if you need some inspiration, I'm happy to go first.
Yes.
Okay, so I've gone with, and let me just close my book here because I'm finished. I've gone with that I've learned patience. That not every podcast is going to be the most incredible thing ever. That not everyone is going to do as well as each other. That you're not going to be able to reach the height that we want to straight away. But what we've been doing is we've been patient. We've been digging away slowly. We've been making the right decisions and the right, going down the right avenues essentially. So we've established a good foundation. And that's been a year in the making. And I think if we look back at the start of the year, even back when we kind of organised this back in 2022, late 2022, I don't think all three of us could imagine that at the end of this year, like right now, we would have the supporter base that we have at the moment. Two brilliant and loyal patrons, over 100 subscribers on YouTube, almost 1,000 listens on all our podcasts, like just in general. And yeah, I just think that we never have gotten too ahead of ourselves. We've always just remained patient and aware of our situation, and I think that that's been very valuable for us. And for me, it's been good to take it week by week, and I think that's a big commitment, but it's been a rewarding commitment. I hope that helps you.
Well, I know I've thought of one while you're speaking, if I can go. And I think you can see it again throughout the year. For me personally, I feel like my analytical skills have gotten a bit better, and I feel like my schoolwork has helped a bit with this, so I have to give credit to that. But I feel like even listening to our early episodes, I feel like I only just scratched the surface, if that. But as we've gone across throughout the year, not all of them have been the best, but I feel like I have gone a lot more in depth with sort of how I've analysed different things. So I think I've learned that sort of how to present what I've been thinking about the shows and movies. So.
Great.
Yeah. So mine's once again not as specific, but I'd like to say that I think throughout the podcasting journey that not every, like as Cooper was saying, not everyone will do amazing, but I think it's more just seeing how every week when we do it, it's actually all been fun. And I think the main thing that I've found is that even if a video or a thing doesn't do so well, I don't really care that much because I still enjoy doing it. And I think that's where my kind of, like we all have our dreams to obviously become really, big, and we all want to do all this kind of stuff. But I think in my head, if I'm looking at us right now, am I happy with where we are right now? Yes. Would I be sad if it just kind of plateaued at this? No, I wouldn't really, because I've still had a great time and done stuff that we all want to do. It's not always about being the best or the biggest or everything. So I think almost being content and really proud of where we're up to.
Absolutely.
And not being ambitious is good, but not being overly fixating on it, I think is
just having fun every week, just enjoying having a conversation with each other.
I think that's where mine is.
Very well put. And I know that was kind of an on the spot question, so I really do appreciate you guys have put some points there. That brings us to the end of the podcast and 2023. But I haven't told you guys this. I would like to say a personal thank you to both of you for your weekly commitment to this channel, because it's not easy, preparing stuff in advance and getting up early in the morning to come and record these things. But when we do, like you said, Jack, we all seem to have a good time.
It doesn't feel as much of a... It's not a burden. It's not a thing where it's like it's kind of become daily routine having it each week. But it's not being like a daily routine where it's like you're going to uni or going to... It's kind of just a fun thing that we get to do at the end of each week almost kind of thing, or even sometimes midweek. So it's good.
And Jack and I, of course, want to give a thanks to Cooper for, he's pretty much the main organiser, the editor.
He's very structured with his... I
just like to be structured.
Yeah. So it's very good that we all have kind of something to be grateful for.
We all contribute equally, and it's just... I have a great time when you guys come around and we can record these things, but... Yeah, so just before we head off, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you're watching on YouTube, feel free to hit the subscribe button. We obviously have great ambitions going into 2024, and the more subscribers we get, the more likes we get. That helps us greatly. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it'd be greatly appreciated if you give us a rate out of 5 stars. Doesn't have to be 5. It can be whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Rate us as the whole year, like how we've been the whole year. And just go follow us on social media. We'll be overloading our social medias next year on Instagram. I know it's kind of been a bit kind of lackluster. We're just doing posts for every upload. But no, we'll definitely be doing more behind the scenes stuff next year. Same as TikTok.
More shorts, more TikToks.
More shorts,
More, just more everything.
So stay tuned, go follow us. We're at Coruscant Knights. We'll stay at Coruscant Knights for a long time. But that brings us to the end.
Are we going to do it?
Yes, we will. We've just discovered this. Yay!
Yay! Come on! Yay!
Fireworks.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you next year.
See
See you
ya.
later.